So as we're getting ready to start, just gather all the props that you need. Definitely a blanket, maybe a few books, maybe another blanket. The two blankets together can work really well as a bolster. And let's start in a seated position. I'm going to sit in a cross-legged position, but if kneeling works better for you, then that's absolutely fine. So kneeling or cross-legged. And I like to sit on a rolled blanket, but you could sit on books or a brick, whatever you have. Sitting with your spine tall, upright, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, letting the shoulders release down and away from the ears. And you can close your eyes for a moment. And just settling into the body sitting, the body breathing. Notice how that feels. We won't do a formal pranayama practice today, but we'll do sort of like a moving meditation in a moment. But for now, just resting in stillness and noticing the flow of your breathing. Last week, I was talking about the different directions that energy takes or that energy flows in the body. And we're continuing this theme this week. So for now, just sit, feel the rhythm of the natural breath. And the energy that we're talking about is mainly carried by the breath into the body. And the yogis call this prana. And really, to know what prana is, the main thing is to just feel into what makes the body alive right now. So, a sense of vitality in the body, that's the expression of prana. And prana, the yogis describe, consists of two different elements. One they call prana shakti, which is our vital power. And it is cleansing and heating in nature. And then the other part is Chitta Shakti, which is the mind, our consciousness, our awareness, a sense of wakefulness. So there's the physical vitality, that vital energy, and then also there's what the mind and consciousness and our felt experience contributes to that. And then last week, I started talking about the fact that this energy is described to move in different ways. It moves upward and it moves downward. Those are the two very fundamental ones. And you can notice even as you just sit here and breathe, there is an upward rising quality that we can often feel with the inhale. And there is a downward grounding quality that we can often feel with the exhale. And to just emphasize that a little bit more, let's add some arm movement. And you can do this with your eyes closed. And if you want to, you can change the crossing of your legs. And then take an inhale and reach the arms out wide and all the way up and overhead. And with the exhale, press the palms down through the center line so the hands come down in front of you. And then we just continue like this, inhaling. So this is the rising, expanding quality of the breath and that vital energy. And then exhale, bringing the hands down in front. And go at your own pace, go with your own rhythm. Close your eyes as you do this if this is comfortable. It's like a very gentle moving meditation, warming up the shoulders and the arms, the hands and wrists to some degree. So there is the upward rising quality we feel on the inhale. This is mainly centered around the heart. This is the physical seat of that energy. And then there is the downward grounding, which flows from the navel downward towards the perineum, towards the base of the pelvis. And you can imagine that as you inhale, there's a reach and lift through the heart and all the way through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, There's a grounding all the way down into the sitting bones, but then keep some of that grounding energy as you inhale, like you're keeping the best part of the exhale as you inhale. And as you exhale, keep part of that rising and expanding energy. So with each inhale, there's also a sense that you're still grounded. With each exhale, there's also a sense that there's an expansion and spaciousness through the spine and a lift through the crown of the head. So that those two directions of movement, they're actually flowing into one, they're coming together, and where they meet is the abdominal area, the center, the area around the navel. And next time your arms come down in front of you, just keep them down in front of that navel area. And then we change the pattern of movement. So with the inhale, expand your arms out wide. And then with the exhale, gather them back in so that the hands almost touch in front of the belly. And stay with that pattern of movement now, like you're gently swimming, floating. So each exhale has that contracting quality from the periphery to the center, and each inhale has that expanding quality from the center to the periphery. And those are two other directions of movement. So we've talked about the up and the down. The upwards is the Prana Vayu, the downwards, the Apana Vayu. Now we're adding the out and the in. So the outward movement is the Udana Vayu. It's called. Vayu simply means wind. And the contracting energy is the Samana Vayu. So as you breathe and synchronize the simple movement with the breath, just notice how the inhale helps you to reach out through the limbs, in this case, particularly the arms, the fingers, and then the crown of the head. And the exhale helps you to sort of gather in. There's a sort of contracting to the center. So the inhale, the Udana Vayu, is associated with our ability to grow, both physically as we grow from being babies to being fully grown, and also emotionally learn from our experience and have a sense of effort in life and a sense of enthusiasm that we can bring to our endeavors. All of this is associated with that potential to grow. And then the gathering energy that flows from the outside to the inside is connected to digestion physically. This is the seat of digestion, the area of the belly. But then again, also emotionally, how can we digest our experience and learn from it and get something from it that is useful? And through that, learn to bring into balance a little bit more our mental state of being. So the Samana Vayu, that contractive energy, is connected to balance, a sense of equilibrium, both physically, homeostasis in the body, and also emotionally and mentally. Next time you bring your hands towards each other in front of the belly, let's change the pattern for the last time and take an inhale and reach the arms up through the center, all the way up and overhead, and then radiate the arms open as they come back down. And continue with this movement now, inhaling, lifting the wrists first, letting the fingers hang off the wrists, and exhaling, expanding the arms wide. So this symbolizes the last one of those 5 different movements of energy in the body. And this is called the Viyana Vayu. And this is a supportive energy that has a sort of an omnidirectional quality, and it has a sense of circulation. So physical circulation, blood flowing through the body, the heart pumping the blood out, the body receiving oxygen, and all parts of the body receiving enough oxygen, and then also circulating thoughts in the mind. So this is an energy that combines all the other directions, brings them into one. And then next time your arms reach out and then come down, keep the hands down. And you can touch your fingertips very lightly to the floor, either side of your hips, and just connect back to a sense of grounding, the earth underneath you, that downward flow of energy, the Prana Vayu. This is what keeps us stable, determined, connected to the earth. And then gently open your eyes and place your feet, or let's say place the right foot, keep the left leg as it is if it's bent. Take the right foot to the floor and hook the right arm around the right leg, and then lift the foot off the floor. If this is difficult, then sit yourself up a little higher or try and come a little lower. Like for me, it's actually more comfortable not sitting on my blanket here anymore. And then the right hand can clasp the left wrist just so it has something to clasp. And then flex and point your toes a few times. So we've done a lot of movement in the upper body. Let's add a little bit of movement in the lower body. And then flex the foot and turn the toes in and out. So there's a little bit of rotation possible at the knee and through the ankle if the knee is bent. Then point the toes, and for me this is pretty hard. Point the toes and see if you can again turn in and out. So it's just a very small movement. And then flex again, extend the leg and release. So the leg certainly doesn't have to come straight. You just see where you're going. And then you could also, as you straighten, turn the toes out and turn the toes in a little bit. And for me, the out is much, much easier than the in. So I'm definitely predisposed in my hip joint for an external rotation. For you, the opposite may be true. And then release, right foot down, take the right knee out to the side, and then lift the left knee. Bring your left arm underneath the knee and hold on to the wrist and lift the foot off the floor. And again, flex and point. And then flex the foot and go in and out. And then point the toes and go in and out. To me, that certainly feels like, ooh, there's nothing much moving there at all. And then flex the foot again and start to extend and release. And then also as you do this, turn the toes in and out as you extend the leg. Great. And then release. Place your feet on the floor and come all the way down to lie on your back. And if you would like a flat blanket, nothing high underneath your head, then that's fine. So half a block, if you have half blocks, can work. Place that underneath the head, roll all the way down, and then take the knees into the chest and place one hand onto each knee. And then take an inhale and press your knees into the hands so that the arms straighten completely. And then exhale, squeeze the knees into the chest. Inhale, press the knees into the hands, let the arms straighten completely, push the knees away from you. And exhale, gather the knees into the chest and towards the belly. Inhale, pressing the knees away from you and feel that little tug in the shoulders. Exhale, squeeze in. Let's do it twice more. Inhale, press away. Exhale, squeeze in. Inhale, press away. Exhale, squeeze in. Release your arms down. Inhale, straighten your legs, flex your feet, press the ball of the foot up. Exhale, bend the knees into the chest. Inhale, press the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the feet down. Inhale, straighten your legs and also lift your arms up to the ceiling and turn the palms up. And then exhale, point your toes and pull your fingers towards your forearms so the wrists are the highest point in the arms. Inhale, turn the palms up to the ceiling and flex your feet. Exhale, pull fingers down and point your toes. Inhale, palms up, flex feet. Exhale, reverse, toes in, toes up, fingers in. And again, inhale, soles of the feet up, palms up. And exhale, reversing. And then take the knees into the chest and place the feet on the floor and straighten the legs out in front of you. And have your arms by your side. Breathe in. And with the exhale, lift the head off the floor, tuck the chin toward the chest. Inhale, release the head. So it's like little sit-ups for the neck. Exhale, lift the head, chin in. Inhale, release down. Exhale, lift up, and we do two more. If this is getting very tiring, which could easily happen, just stay down. Otherwise, exhale, lift up. Inhale, release. And exhale, lift up. Inhale, release. And then exhale, bend the knees, place the feet on the floor. Now, if you want a little bit of abdominal work, you can hover up to sit from here. Otherwise, roll to one side, come up to sit. So if you're trying the hover option, lift your arms, fingertips point at the knees, lift the head, and then keep curling up. And you may want to shift your feet further away from you so that you're coming all the way up to sit. And then as you're sitting, pull your shoulders back. See if you can lift your heels off the floor. You can bring the legs together. If you want to hold on to the backs of the thighs, that's fine. Otherwise, arms forward, shoulders back, maybe lift the shins up a little bit more. Beautiful, lovely. And then bring the feet back down. Now I'm going to show you what we'll do next. We'll come back onto our backs lying down, so you won't be able to see. So this is why I just want to show you a little bit of the movement we're doing and then also where we're going with it. So we'll start lying down and we take one knee into the chest, then we take that leg out to the side and we work with extending the leg and bringing the knee back in, and we sort of circle. So we go in and we go out and the foot stays flexed and we go in both directions. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just working with opening in the hip. And once we've done this a few times, we take the knee across to the opposite side into a twist, but rather than staying in the twist, we'll actually roll all the way around. If you have space for it, you may have to adjust this. And then we're in a Sphinx position. And then we'll stay here for a little bit. And the knee could be bent. I hope you can see this. The leg could be straight and back behind you, or the leg could be out to the side. Some people enjoy that sort of deeper stretch. And then from here, we're going to thread the arm through, and I'm going to talk through all of this. You don't have to remember. And we come back into the twist and stay here for a few breaths. And then we do everything on the other side. Okay? Sounds reasonable? So you may want to start as you lie down right on the right edge of your mat so that once you're turning around, I mean, it depends how much space you have in your room as well, of course, but so that once you're turning around, you land almost on your mat. If the blanket underneath the head makes it complicated, just remove it. Take the right knee into the chest and for a moment, just hold the right knee with the right hand and with the knee bend, guide the knee out to the side and back towards center. Flex the foot. Once the leg is out to the side, keep it there. Try and keep both sides of the hips level with each other. So don't roll to the right. Keep the left hip down and then let go of the knee and release your hand down. Take an inhale here. Right foot is flexed. Exhale, press the right heel away from you and that will straighten the leg. Leg stays hovering. Turn the toes in towards the midline and then lift the knee in and up. And then exhale, rotate the knee out, press the heel away, straighten the leg, turn the toes in, bend the knee. The knee will point to the left a little as you lift it up. And then with the exhale, you press it away again, and the toes turn out to the right. Then turn the toes to the left, lift the knee in. And one more round, toes to the right, press and straighten, toes to the left, bend the knee. Now go in the other direction. So keep the knee facing to the left, the toes to the left, straighten the leg, exhale, then turn the toes out, inhale, bring the knee back to the right side, then turn the knee to the left. So just drawing circles. And you can go with your breath as you continue. And we do about 5 in each direction. So next time you turn the toes to the right and bend the knee to lift it up, then take the knee all the way over to the left and use your left hand to weigh the knee down toward the ground. But then once you start rolling to the left, then follow on and roll all the way onto your belly. And then you can come into a little Sphinx position here, bringing the forearms parallel with each other onto the floor. If this is too much with the right knee bent out to the side, then straighten both legs and come to a regular Sphinx position with your legs parallel with each other. And if you would like to straighten the right leg all the way out to the side, if you have space for that, then you could. But the key here is that you keep the neck at you keep the knee at hip height. So the knee is hip height, and if the leg is straight, you could bring the sole of the foot to the floor and reach a little bit, have a little bit of energy into the outer edge of that foot. And if that feels too much at some stage, you retract, you soften again. If this is generally a little much and maybe you have your legs next to each other already, you could slip your elbows forward, hold on to your elbows and let the head come down. Otherwise, stay here a few more breaths. And if the head comes down, keep the torso and the arms and the head sort of symmetrical. So the forehead lands on your stacked forearms. And in the last few breaths here, if this feels really nice for your back, and if you think there is maybe a little bit more room to move, then press into the hands a little bit more and lift your elbows off the floor so that you're more in a cobra pose than in a sphinx pose. And you may notice immediately that this has been a bit much, then you back off. Keep the belly in, keep the elbows close to the body, and keep your neck free. Just taking your last few breaths here. Now, to retrace our steps and to come back into the twist, come onto your forearms if you're in any other shape, and then feed the left arm behind the right elbow. Take it over to the opposite side. So the left arm comes as far over to the side as possible, and then you're rolling back onto your back. And then you can take your right arm out behind you. If this is strong for the shoulder, you can either keep your arm lower, resting maybe the hand on the hip, or if you have a prop handy, like a rolled up blanket, it can be placed underneath the shoulder so that the shoulder is propped up into the air a little bit and doesn't have to travel quite as far. So there is a balance to be found between right shoulder towards floor and right knee towards floor on the opposite side. And of course, the knee can hover. You could support the knee with your left hand. So the left elbow is on the floor and you're holding the knee in your palm. And see if you can relax into this a little bit more for the last few breaths. And then roll fully onto your back again. So take the right knee into center and place the right foot flat on the floor, and then take the left foot flat on the floor. Let the knees drop in towards each other and just notice how it feels after you've done all of this on one side. And then shuffle the body over towards the left edge of your mat, just to be sort of preparing a little bit for what comes later. And straighten the right leg along the floor. Take the left knee into the chest, squeeze it in gently, and hold the knee with the left hand and take the knee out to the side and back to center, and do this a few times. Out to the side, back to center. Notice how the right hip wants to lift and try and keep it really heavy. Keep the foot flexed the whole time. And next time the knee is out to the side, release your hand to the floor, and then we start the circling action. So flex the foot, turn the toes out to the left, left toes to the left, inhale, and then exhale, press the heel away from you to straighten the leg, let it hover just above the ground, turn the toes in, then bend the knee. So you're drawing a circle, turn the toes out, extend the leg. This could be the exhale. And the inhale, toes turn in, bend the knee, bring it back up. And let's take about 3 more rounds with the breath. So you can imagine that as you straighten the leg, you're growing out through the limb, that sense of Prana Vayu, expanding from the center to the periphery, and then on the retracting side, as you bend the knee, that's the Samana Vayu, gathering back in. And next time you bring the knee back in, change direction. So keep the toes turned to the right, the knee to the right, straighten the leg, and then turn the toes out, knee out, and bend the knee. And do this another 4 times. And again, it doesn't matter what exactly you're doing, as long as you're mobilizing the hip and as long as there is no pain in the body. But you can think about that expansive quality and the contracting quality. And then next time you're bringing the knee in towards you again, now take the knee across the body and hold it with the right hand initially, roll over to the side, and once you're rolling over, take the back arm with you as well, then turn all the way around and onto your belly. And the left knee is about shoulder height, and sometimes it feels fine to have the knee a little bit higher. And if you straighten the leg out to the side, you could try this on this side too, but one side might really be quite different from the other side, so just being aware of that. Propping yourself up onto the forearms, and there is a sense that there is a gentle lift through the belly, a gentle lift through the abdominal muscles so that you're staying supported here. And if the arm position is a little strong on the shoulders, then take your elbows further forward, cross your forearms. So you're holding onto opposite elbows, let the forehead come down onto the forearms. And if the leg is straight out to the side, maybe you can get a little bit more of the sole of the foot to the floor. Great. Lovely. And as we're approaching the last few breaths here, you could straighten the arms by lifting the elbows off the floor. And by straightening, I don't mean all the way straight. I mean lifting the elbows, hugging them in towards each other so that the inner elbows face up. And if there's a lot of mobility and this feels really quite amazing, then of course walk the hands closer to you. But work with a lot of kindness towards your experience and keep it on a sort of gentle trajectory, a nourishing trajectory. And then to come into a twist, come onto the forearms first, and then slip the right arm behind the left elbow all the way over toward where that knee is, if you have the knee close to you. And then slowly roll onto your back. And the left arm, sorry, can reach out to the side. You can turn the head toward that shoulder. But again, support the shoulder or take the arm down if that's more beneficial. And also, you could support the knee. So, if the knee is lifting, wanting to lift up, you can place your hand underneath the knee and maybe prop the elbow on the floor. And there is a quality of softening and releasing into that energy of grounding, the Prana Vayu. But also, twists inherently carry with them a focus on the abdominal area, the area around the navel, which has that contractive energy, and also a balancing energy. And that balance can sometimes be felt mentally as well. We can take a twist and then we can come out of it, and things just feel a little clearer sometimes. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed thing, but it's useful. And then, of course, the digestive system will be really stimulated when we take twists. So, as I said, that Samana Vayu connects to our ability to digest, whether that's food or mental experiences. And if you ever have indigestion, then twisting is great. It really gets things going. That's all I'm going to say. And then slowly roll back onto your back. And as you're arriving, bend both knees, place your feet on the floor, let the knees touch in towards each other. Notice how it feels now that you've done both sides. And then you could either come up in the same way as we came to sit before, or roll to one side and come up. So if you're using your abdominals, lift the arms, then lift the head, engage your abdominals, curl in and all the way up to sit, and shift your feet away from you to help you. And then once you get there, see if you can lift your feet for a moment and move the shoulders back, like the chest is just open and free. You can even place your fingers on the shoulders and take a few circling actions here. This is great back strengthening work alongside keeping the thighs working and the abdominals. Change the direction of your circles. And then place your feet on the floor. And drop the knees over to your right side, and then take the left foot back, take the left knee out to the side a little bit more. So this is a Bharadvajasana stance. So the left toes are pointed back, and for a lot of people, it'll feel much nicer to bring the sitting bones up on something. And you want to make sure that your knees are on the mat, just so you have some padding. If that doesn't quite work out with your space, have a blanket underneath the knees. And then place your left hand rather onto the left hip. Place your right fingertips on the floor. Take an inhale and lift the left hip and rotate it forward a little bit. And then exhale, release and bring the sitting bone back to the floor. So just a little bit of hip mobilization again, but we'll take it further in a moment. So lifting and lowering the sitting bone down. Let's do two more. Inhale, lift. Do not tolerate any pain in the knee as you come back down. So do not push that hip down. Good. And then keep the hip down. Place your right hand flat now. Lift the left arm up. Lift the chest. And you can always stay here. There's nothing more you can do or you need to do. But if it feels nice, then you can lift the hips and you're in a sort of little side bend, little twist, little back bend. And then exhale, come down, sweep the arm down, and let's do it with a breath. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhale to come down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale to come down. Let's take two more. Breathing in. Remember, it could just be the chest that lifts. Breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. And then inhale, take the right arm across the body. Hook the arm with the left arm. So I'm hooking my forearm, keeping that right arm really straight, and then pull the arm towards you. So this is the counter stretch for the shoulder as it's just been bearing our weight. And then release. And you can have your fingertips on the floor behind you. And this is particularly useful if you're sitting up on something, or you could go without support. And this will work really only if you're not sitting up on something, and get the legs up into the air. And then swap sides, taking the legs down the other way. And then check that your right toes are pointed back. So the foot is not going out to the side, toes are back. The right hand is on the right hip, left fingertips to the floor. Take an inhale and lift the left hip, and you're rotating it forward and in slightly. And then exhale, release it back down. No pressure on the knee. So notice how it feels on the knee. Inhale to lift up, and exhale to come back down. Inhaling up, exhale down. And two more. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And then keep the hip down and place your hand flat. Lift the right arm up and lift the breastbone. Make sure that the bottom shoulder, the top of the shoulder draws back, and the elbow is softly bent, and the elbow is sort of hugging in towards the body, so that the shoulder girdle stays integrated and the elbow doesn't hyperextend. And then you can stay here and sweep the arm, or you can lift the hips and sweep the arm, taking an inhale to lift, and then an exhale to come back down. So you can imagine the inhale really helps to have that expansive quality, and the exhale helps us to ground back down. And let's do it three more times. Breathing in, this is the Prana Vayu, from the heart out to the sides and up. And then as you come down, this is the Apana Vayu, that grounding energy. Let's take one more. And then come back down. And this time, take the hands out in front of you and make your way to an all fours position. And the knees could be on a blanket here if the knees are sensitive. And if you have those half blocks, then you can place one underneath each knee. And we just go into a figure of eight shape. So you can imagine that your hips and shoulders are drawing that figure of eight shape. And you can do this with the toes tucked or with the toes pointed to see what feels most comfortable. And if you end up going into a free flow that is not a figure of eight shape, then that's also great. If you're sticking to the figure of eight, you may want to change directions. And just taking the last few movements here. And then eventually release your sitting bones all the way down onto your heels. And if kneeling doesn't work for you, then you can stand on your knees and place the hands on the hips. And if kneeling does work, you could take your knees wide. You can touch the big toes together and take your fingertips to the floor behind you. And then roll the shoulders back, hug the elbows back. If you're standing on your knees, hands to hips. And then inhale, lift the chest. And if you're standing on the knees, you can slip the hands to the lower back. And exhale, soften a little bit. Release the back bend a little bit. And then inhale, lift the chest. And if you wish, lift the hips. So it becomes sort of similar to what we've done in an asymmetrical manner before. Exhale, sit down. Inhale, lift the hips. If this is quite easy, you can walk your fingers a little closer. Exhale, come down. And if you want to take it easier on the shoulders, then this could be a much smaller movement, standing on the knees. Coming down with the exhale. Inhale to lift and expand through the heart. And exhale, coming down. And then let's come onto our belly from here. And it could be nice to have a blanket underneath the pubic bone just to soften a little bit. If you have sensitive skin, that can feel nice. And similar to what we did before, let's come into a sphinx. So the elbows are underneath the shoulders, but hold on to your elbows with the opposite hand. Now, if the shoulders are sensitive, you want to be very careful with where you're going with this because this becomes strong quite quickly. So you could stay here, walk your elbows forward, rest the forehead down. Or for a deeper shoulder stretch, don't walk your elbows forward, release your hands and bring your elbows in front of each other. Stay here. Or wiggle your hands even further away so the elbows slide away from each other. And then the chin tucks onto the front arm. And you can close your eyes. And this is a real downward grounding pose. And you are really releasing into gravity. So there can be a lot of pressure, but there's also an ability to just let go of resistance that we can learn from this pose. Often, because it can feel reasonably strong, we're not even giving ourselves a chance to explore how it may feel if we just let go a little bit more. Of course, only you will know how things feel in your own body, and you're very welcome to back off, to come out early, to modify. So we'll be here for, let's say, about another minute. If that seems a crazy idea for you, then you're more than welcome to come out now. You could come back to Sphinx, you could come back into a child's pose. Otherwise, just under another minute. Now we really need that rising quality that the inhale carries to bring ourselves out of this. So maybe a slightly deeper inhale to lift the head, and then with care, ease the elbows towards each other. And depending on where you've gone with this, change the crossing of the forearms and stay there. So the other forearm is in front, slip the forearms forward, rest your head on the front, let's say top forearm, or slide your elbows towards each other so they're stacked in front of each other, or go past this, slide your fingers further out. And then can you release the chin down? Can you relax your fingers somewhat? For me, this is the kind of posture where I think there is no way I can relax here. And I think that for like, the good first few seconds. And then eventually, if I'm not moving for a little while, I notice that actually I can relax a little bit. So at the beginning for me, there's often a lot of resistance to simply let go. And then over time, there's maybe more of an opening of the mind. So the Chitta Shakti is catching up, allowing the Prana Shakti to keep the body alive even here. We'll be here for just another minute, but again, this is your body, this is a strong pose. Back off now if that's a much kinder thing to do. And otherwise, relax and soften. And if you can't, I really recommend you come out. See if you can even keep the mind a little still as you're relaxing. Just that encouragement to not having to control things with the mind right now. And then you could take a deeper inhale to help you gather things up. Lift the head first. Take the elbows in towards each other and then wider and away from each other in the direction that feels comfortable. And then we'll take a little release from here. So if you have another blanket available, it can be nice to have that to support your head. And we're going to turn the head to one side and lie down. And one thing that can feel really nice, rather than having to have such a strong rotation in the neck, is to fold up the opposite side of the blanket. So let's say you look to the left, then fold up the right side of the blanket just a little bit and rest your ear on that folded up bit. And then there's a much less steep angle for the neck. And then the elbows could be wide and the fingertips could be close to each other so that your arms have a sort of diamond shape. And if it's more comfortable to take the arms back by your side to give the shoulders an opportunity to have a completely different rotation than before, then this is also great. And you may want to experiment over time what it might feel like to lessen the height of the folded blanket a little bit, make it a little lower, or maybe make it completely even for a deeper neck stretch. And then we'll stay here for another minute. Again, you're very welcome to come out early. And then with an inhalation, take the elbows wide and the forearms forward so that you can lift the head and then turn it around to the other side. And again, in the beginning, it could be really nice to roll up For me, it would be the left side of the blanket. Get the ear onto that so that the face can sort of turn half down toward the blanket so that the head sort of hangs down from that slightly elevated part. And you can keep your arms in this diamond shape with the fingers a little distance away from each other, the elbows out wide. Or you could take the arms down by your side and then soften the shoulders wherever you are. And after a little while, if you feel inclined, you could experiment with flattening a little bit the height of the support underneath the ear, or maybe making it even completely. Just see how it feels. And just feel as you breathe, notice the rhythm of the breath. Notice the interplay of upward lifting and downward grounding within the breath. Maybe you feel also an outward and an inward. And then bringing this all together is this all encompassing, omnidirectional flow of energy. And then lifting the head, bringing the head to center, gathering the hands underneath the shoulders, and come up to all fours. You can sit back on your heels for a moment. Now you could come from here into a Shavasana-like shape lying on your back. And for some people to support respiration, it's certainly very useful to prop the back up on a bolster so you can have a brick at the end of the mat and then place your bolster on the brick, sit in front of the bolster and recline. If you happen to have a wall nearby, you could also rest with your legs up the wall. And one way of doing that could be to use two blankets or just one rolled up, or you could use a bolster. And it's a little distance, let's say about 10 centimeters away from the wall. And you start by sitting on the edge of that roll or that bolster, whatever it is, facing the side, and then you're sort of rolling down and you're getting your legs up at the same time. And you could use a door for this. You could use even a window pane if that seems a safe thing to do. And then eventually releasing the back to the floor. I quite like to have my hips a little distance away from the wall. And of course, you can rest with the legs up the wall without having anything underneath your sacrum. It just, is a slightly different way of relaxing. So you could just test that out as well. And, for me, if my hips are a little bit further away from the wall, I feel I can just relax the legs into the wall and they stick there more easily and it feels more comfortable to me. So, whichever position you're taking, whether it's legs up the wall or lying on your back, Make sure you're very comfortable, make sure you're warm enough, and if you have a small piece of clothing that you can drape over your eyes, then that could feel quite nice. So take your time to adjust yourself. The eyes could be softly open or closed. And as you are starting to settle, again, just keep the mind open to receiving your experience as it is right now. And as the breath is returning to an uncontrolled flow, you could still trace the patterns of energy carried by the breath and independent of the breath in the body. Up, down, in and out, and all around. And just resting deeply here for another couple of minutes. Feel the body, feel the breath. You can deepen the breath if that's comfortable. You could reach the arms up and overhead and take an inhale and stretch yourself out. And with the exhale, soften and release. And if the legs are up the wall, you can Bend the knees, walk the feet down the wall, bring the knees into the chest. If you're on your back, bending the knees, walking the feet in, and then eventually you can all roll over to your right hand side. Make your way up to sit. Maybe sitting on a rolled blanket or whatever support you can grab easily. And we'll repeat some of the movements from the beginning and just take one round each. So sitting comfortably, feeling the spine spacious, the crown of the head lifted, the shoulders relaxed. With the palms turned out, take an inhale and reach the arms all the way out, up, and overhead. And with the exhale, palms down, bring the hands down through the center line. Then with the inhale, take the fingers out to the sides. Open the arms. And with the exhale, gather the palms towards each other in front of the belly. Let the fingers move down. Inhale, lift the wrists up. Let the arms lift. And then exhale, radiate open. And then place one hand on top of the other on the center of the chest. Breathe in. And with the exhale, let the chin come toward the chest. Namaste.